Hello, my name is Michiel Fierens. I'm a doctoral researcher at CITIP in cybersecurity, and today we're going to talk about the Cybersecurity Act. So, what's on the agenda? First, the new role for Inisa, then the fact that it's now a pan-European cybersecurity certification scheme. This means that those who want to get certified have now access to a one-stop shop in several member states. Then we will also deal with how this certification will look like in practice. And lastly, we will formulate some remarks. So firstly, ENISA, they now have a permanent mandate and they are responsible for operational cooperation and crisis management. This means that they can help member states if they request help to handle cybersecurity incidents, but they also support coordination in case of, for example, large-scale cross-border cyber attacks. They also have give support to policy implementation, and this means, for example, they can assist member states in developing their national cybersecurity strategies, but they can also advise on the development and review of union policies and laws, or on how to implement uh, EU policies and laws like the NIS Directive. They also have a key role in setting up and maintaining these certification schemes. They can, for example, prepare the technical ground for these schemes, and they will also inform the public on these schemes through a dedicated website. So these certification schemes, why were they created? Firstly, to increase the quality of several products and services, and also because the EU wants to achieve a leading role in the global cybersecurity market by imposing these schemes. They dream of the idea that they can export these certification schemes worldwide, like they did with the GDPR, for example. It's also a reaction to the recent cyber attacks, and they want to increase consumer trust in the single market. So these schemes are about ICT products, services and processes. This is very broad, but they do not concern individuals. The schemes are voluntary for now. We have a 4-year probation period till the 31st of December 2023. And then the Commission will assess if some schemes should become mandatory. But meanwhile, we have a union rolling working program. The first one is expected the 28th of June. And in this program, the strategic priorities for future schemes can be identified. It can also contain lists of products and services that will be capable of benefiting from such a cybersecurity certification scheme in the future. And it may also be that the Commission then requests ENISA to prepare such a scheme or to review existing schemes under this rolling working program. So these schemes also contain different assurance levels: basic, substantial, and high. And the idea is that concerning the risks of using a certain device, service, or process, a certain assurance level will be assigned to these products, services, or processes. And the idea is that, like, a basic level can consist of a review of technical documentation, but at a substantial level you would need to demonstrate absence of publicly known vulnerabilities. And in a high assurance level, you would even need to demonstrate that you have state-of-the-art techniques to implement necessary security functionalities. And also you should be able to prove you're resistant to skilled attackers, for example, by using penetration testing. So we already talked about the subject matter of these schemes. These are ICT products, services and processes. And these schemes should in the future explicitly refer to their subject matter and scope, but also to their purpose. They should also contain references to relevant international, European or national standards, like ISO standards, European ETSI standards, and so on. They should also contain the applicable assurance level, maybe with some more information regarding risks associated with a certain assurance level. They should also explain if self-assessment, just reviewing technical documentation by a manufacturer, for example, if this is permitted or not. We've seen, for example, in a report of Inisa that they say it could be that basic assurance level for IoT devices, then self-assessment is okay. But if you're talking about certifying cloud services, self-assessment is never okay. So we will see how this will be in the future. So these schemes also need to contain specific requirements for conformity assessment bodies, if there are, and they need to contain the maximum period of validity of these certificates. So how will it look like in the future? ENISA published a report, namely Standards Supporting Certification, in December 2019. And there they analyzed an IoT candidate scheme. And they said you have three types of IoT devices. Those that are just customer IoT devices, they require a basic security level. And this basic security level, assurance level, can be self-assessment of technical requirements, namely the requirements formulated in standard ETSI 303645. But then you also have IoT devices that are used in public spaces, and they have to have a substantial security assurance level, and then you need to add the defined processes in the Eurosmart schemes like vulnerability management, etc. And then they also talk about a third category of IoT devices, namely those deployed in critical infrastructure environments or in areas where cyber attacks may cause significant harm. And then on top of the Eurosmart scheme and the technical ETSI standards, you also need to respect the common criteria scheme, which is mentioned in the report. But this is just a report, just an analysis of a possible scheme in the future. So we will have to look in the future how things will really be. So lastly, some remarks. Different national cybersecurity certification authorities will have to analyze and check compliance with European certification schemes. So we may ask ourselves if this cannot lead to more fragmentation, as each authority can have its own interpretation. Then also third-party certification is normally expensive. You have to pay for example, ISO standards. So it's not very clear how this will be in the future. Then also we can ask ourselves what is the value of such a certificate, in terms of extra contractual liability. If you are certified for a certain product or process, but still you face claims from third parties. And then lastly, synergies and trade-offs between the GDPR certification, which also contains an Article 32 on the security of personal data, and the Cybersecurity Act may be enhanced in the future, or this must be investigated in the future. So thank you for your attention, and if you have further questions, do not hesitate to contact me or to contact CITIP.